Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and I'm going to be doing another entry for Sonshine Stamp Co. And I'm working in Proverbs chapter 18 verses 20 and 21. And I'm using the Just My Type and the Seaside set. And that Seaside set is a new set to Sonshine Stamp Co. But before I do my stamping, I'm going to create my own custom colored cardstock. So I have a piece of colored cardstock here, and I'm just inking up one edge with some abandoned coral distress ink. And I've sped this up quite a bit because I added a lot of ink on there to really saturate the cardstock. And then this side here is mustard seed. I'll have all the products listed down in the description bar down below, so be sure to check that out. Now I am going to do some stamping with the Just My Type stamp set, but before I do that, I'm coating this with my EK Success powder tool. I'm going to be doing some heat embossing, and heat embossing has a tendency to stick to distress ink, even though I had dried that really well. You want to make sure that you prep that page. That way the embossing powder only sticks to your stamping. So I'm going to ink this up and use the Versamark clear sticky ink, and I'm spelling out the word sweet. Now when I stamped the second half of the word, I don't know if I pushed too hard or what happened, but it kind of blurped on the E, so I went ahead and stamped it out again. We're going to cut this out, so it's okay. I'm going to add my Wow white embossing powder to this. And then you do have to heat set this. So I'm getting my heat tool good and hot, and then you'll just take that to the embossing powder and melt it until it is all shiny and melted. And then I went ahead and did the same thing on the other side for the word sour, exact same steps. So I'm going to cut these down into little strips. These are going to be banners that you can add into the page. And so I'm just cutting right along where I had stamped, and you'll see now you have these little custom colored pieces of cardstock that I can match to whatever stickers I want to use on my page. I'm going to trim one of the ends down into a fishtail banner. So you just snip down the middle, and then you snip from each of the corners down to the bottom of that snip, and that's how you get a little fishtail. And you'll see here in a few minutes again how that looks. I went ahead and did that for both of those. Off camera, I went ahead and stamped a number of some of the fruits from that Seaside set onto some cardstock, and now I'm going to watercolor these using distress inks. I did use just regular cardstock, not watercolor paper. So I'm just going to be sure to not use too much water when I color these in. And I'm using Twisted Citron, Mowed Lawn, Squeezed Lemonade, Mustard Seed, Festive Berries, and Abandoned Coral if you're interested. So I'll go ahead and speed up the coloring. Again, it didn't do anything fancy. These images are pretty detailed and small, so I was going to already be doing a lot of steps with this page, so I didn't do any shading or multiple colors in the images or anything like that. So just laying down all the color. I'm using a water brush to pick up the color with, but I'm making sure the brush is pretty dry just so that there isn't any issues while painting on cardstock like this. And I did go ahead and color some of those citrus to be limes and some of them to be lemons. I'd also thought about doing grapefruits, but I already had quite a bit of pink going, so I just stuck to limes and lemons. But I love this set. It's so fun to have the sea elements with the mermaid and the, whale and the crab, and then to have all these fruits. There's just so much versatility in this set in particular. So be sure you go check out the Sonshine Stamp Co. website and see some of the stamps they have over there. I decided to go ahead and add some white details to these images using my Signo Uniball white gel pen. And I think this just adds a little extra something to these pieces so that when I cut them out and add them to the page, they have some more dimension. They look, I don't want to say store-bought, but it just adds a little more detail to them and a little more interest. So just adding some white to like the rind of the watermelon. I'm going to add some highlight details to those strawberries. And I will also go in and add some white to the center of the citrus and almost add little like seed shapes into the limes and the lemons. So And then you'll see on the watermelon, I was kind of touching it with my finger, and that was just to smudge out the white so that it wasn't as harsh on that green. So I'll go ahead and just do that for all of these images. And I went ahead and fussy cut those out, and a couple of the citruses I cut in half to make them look like little wedges, and then just took a pen and inked up that cut edge. That way it looks like it was stamped that way. So I decided to go ahead and add a little bit of background color before I add all my little elements. So I have a piece of packaging here and the Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn colors, and I'm just smushing that onto this packaging, wetting it, and then smushing it onto the page. I've done this on my channel before. This is Distress Ink smushing, and these inks do bleed through your page, and they did bleed through a little bit, but you can already see the back side of this page is done, and there's some bleed through on this side and that other side was painted with like a mint green color, and so this actually wasn't horribly noticeable once it bled through, so that worked out for me. So you can see those banner pieces there that I had cut. And now I'm going to make all of these other little stamped images stickers. So this is a Xyron sticker maker. You just put all your pieces in the top, pull them out the bottom, and then now they're on this backer sheet, and it's applied adhesive to the entire back side of these pieces, and so now they're like little stickers. So I ended up not using all of these pieces on this page, so I still have those my kids can play with or whatever they want to do. There's extra little stickers. So I have some of these tile alphas in my stash. These are from the Creative Retreat kits. I think maybe the melon colored ones are still available, but the yellow and purple ones are no longer available. And I'm just going to spell out, may my words be sweet, not sour. And so these verses, Proverbs 18, it's chapter 18, verses 20 and 21, say, from the fruit of a man's mouth, his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Now, I'd encourage you to go over to the Sonshine Stamp Co. blog. I will link that down below where I talk a little bit more about these verses. I also give the New Living Translation, which I think makes it a little bit better to understand. But essentially just being careful with the words that you use, and I am so guilty of not doing that. So be sure to head on over, see what my thoughts are on that, and see how the other girls are working with their stamps this month. So I'm just taking all of those pieces and adding them to my background, and you can see how quickly this is to do once they've been made into stickers. And I am sure to leave some of those hanging off the edge. Those ones at the top are going to be my tab, and so what I did there is I used my EK Success powder tool to rub on the back and take away any of the stickiness that's exposed. Same thing to the front here. Sometimes there's a little bit of stickiness that sticks outside of those pieces, and so that just covers up the stickiness with like a powder, and then it's not sticky anymore. Of course, I had to add some ink splatters, so some black soot distress ink that I've smushed out onto some packaging and added some water, and then I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and flick some of that onto the page. And I also added in a little prayer there in the margin. So that is it for my page today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Check out the description bar. It has a list of all the products used today. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.